So yesterday, a listener called up and said, "What's your favorite idea?" And I didn't think I was copping out. I just mentioned Gruden as somebody that I think would be really gross, but kind of fits the mold for what a team like this tends to do, or maybe it seems logical it would do.
I mean, there's a lot here. If the gross part wasn't there, he probably is employed already somewhere. But if not, for whatever reason, right? If he was suspended for, I think like a Bountygate type thing is less gross than what he has been ostracized for, in my opinion. And maybe you could get over that. Maybe I would even say, I can get over that. It's football and you got away from you, whatever. I think he would be all we'd be talking about if not for the gross part, not for the part that I think might make him unhireable in general within the league, and that certainly would include the Bills. That's kind of how I view him right now. If not for that, I don't think we'd ever stop talking about the idea, because it does check. The biggest concern you'd have is how up to speed is he on what offenses are doing now. Right, these guys like Kubiak and Shielhaas and Udinski, the guy in Jacksonville, all sort of from McVay by way of Kevin O'Connell, whatever, like the brightest minds offensively that seem to be out there in the sport right now. A lot of them have ties to that. Aside from those guys, because they're inexperienced and so they don't click as many boxes, like could Gruden convince you that he's up to speed on all that? Because the rest of it would totally check, but I just don't think he's hireable. So I feel like he's disqualified before we even really get into the process myself. I mean, I don't have to be right about that, but I suspect that I am. So, I mean, like, I'd be surprised. Like, his name is not anywhere on
no.
He's talking, there's all these openings already for a couple of weeks or more, and his name's not anywhere. And that's pretty telling, I think. Because, there are other Baltimore fits this profile maybe as like a come in and close the deal guy, So
interesting to be competing if that's the right word with the Ravens.
Yeah.
Right now in this, and even Pittsburgh.
Sure.
Baltimore and Buffalo are pretty much the same as teams that just have not gotten all the way there. That stat about coach and quarterback going for X number of years without ever winning a Super Bowl, that just got blown up.
Yeah, you get hit reset on that.
The Bills and the Ravens were these teams, like,
right.
Historically, this is Nick Kostos, right? Like, you're never going to – no team ever gets there with the same coach and quarterback for however long, 5 years?
I think it was 5 years. If they don't do it within 5 years, they don't do it.
They never do. They never have.
Right.
And, like, the Bills and Ravens both gave up on that quest. Well – I am the up-and-comer type. I love the coordinator or assistant or college coach even who X's and O's, analytics. Most young people are data-driven. That's always kind of been my sensibilities when it comes to coaches. It's been a long time since we've had to do this. But I also think the Bills are in a position where if they were to bring in somebody famous, so to speak, that has the experience that Sean McDermott ultimately did not get to winning a championship, I could certainly listen to it. I think it would make sense. I think there would be credibility internally. These are people, Super Bowl winning coaches, we never even got to first base on that list through the drought. Like, there was just never any chance that the Bills would attract such a candidate. They were always having to, the scratch and dent.
The closest
list
we got was I feel like there was a blank check for Mike Shanahan thing in there somewhere, but they couldn't attract him, I think. So that ended up being true. But we had a day or two where that was out there, and is that a good $10 million a year back then was crazy to think of a coach, but that was talked about. I don't know exactly how. I don't remember how credible it was, but I remember we had a daily. But that's as close as we ever got. And like I said, it never even got. I don't even know if he came here and talked to anybody. It was just like an idea that got out that the Bills were willing to do whatever it would take to attract this guy. And they still couldn't. So, and, the problem you've got, we've already talked about Gruden, just now. That category of coach, who is that? Is that Mike McCarthy? Because that's not an idea that I would be excited about. I just feel like that ship has sailed. That would feel like trying to turn back the clock to me. And so I don't know. Maybe he lands somewhere on his feet, or maybe everybody else feels like, yeah, you've had your shots. Congratulations on Green Bay. It's a lifetime ago now, and we're going to try this young guy. But I don't know. Somebody may hire him. I don't know. I just don't want it to be the Bills. I just don't think that's really where I want to be. So who else is on that? Gruden to me is out. I don't like the McCarthy. Maybe somebody out there likes the McCarthy idea. I don't know. But to me, that's not a great idea. And then
Belichick.
Who's on that list? Right. I don't want any part of that.
Because?
Just, it seems like a circus at this point. Like his life seems like a circus at this point. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So I don't know. Do you feel different? Do you think that's a good idea?
No, I would hate it.
Okay.
I don't even care if I lose. I don't want him around here.
Right.
I don't want to be scooping up the remnants of Bill Belichick, hoping to give me my one championship. That just doesn't. It feels demeaning. I don't want that. I want it to be somebody new, kind of in a vacuum that can be here, well, maybe for as long as Sean McDermott was or longer, sort of the next version of this. I think that would be exciting. I just don't know that it's right for where they're at.
Right.
Because, all these comments and this conversation about the roster and what it lacks, how do you go about that? How do you improve that, sort of in one fell swoop? It's not going to be easy to do that.
No.
So, any Josh Allen team, I know how this sounds at this point, but can win. I think most teams would trade places with the Bills if they could. But they have to fix quite a few things. Talent, apparently against how the Bills themselves feel, I think has diminished.
Yeah, I agree. That we haven't even really gotten to that. I've alluded to it a couple times. You heard Brandon Beane mention it, but yesterday was really not the day for roster management and the cap and what the free agent lay of the land, all that. That's going to wait. But there is a lot to do. But at the same time, I kind of want to say almost whoever they hire, with Josh Allen as their quarterback, they should, their floor should be 10 wins and a wild card. I just feel like somebody's going to play left guard, if they don't keep David Edwards. And it might not be as good, and then your running game might not be as good. And so maybe we're spending a little too much time chasing New England or something. But it feels like the floor should be set there, which I know is easy to say, but I think it's right. I know there's a scenario where they hire the wrong guy and the roster falls apart and they just have an awful season, but I wouldn't predict that just because of how everything has sounded this week. To me, that doesn't really transfer to that. I hope anyway. So the question is, can you get someone that very quickly, if not in year one, by year two, have you poised to pass where you've been the last 9 years? That's obviously the goal, right? If you're firing Sean McDermott because you've hit the proverbial playoff wall, which is a feasible enough idea to have, then you have to get busy getting past that. And I don't know how much of a grace period a new guy should expect, but I don't think it's going to be very long, if it's even 1 year long. Because, like I say, I think the floor is already, we should be that good because we have the advantage of this guy. So, even if we have to fill in a bunch of stuff, we should find our way to having a decent season, just maybe not a great season. But if you get the right guy and the schemes are right and it even elevates Allen and the offense in general, you get some pass catchers in here, maybe you can right away, right out of the wrapper, go like back to the top of the conference again. Because, that's where they've been living. I know they were the 6th seed this year. It's not exactly the top of the conference. But still, they've been a Super Bowl contending team. And if they get this hire right, then maybe they can be that again right away next year. But that, again, that's a hard bar, I think, to clear.
Well, the names on the list, are mostly not mostly young, but you can see in this candidates list that's been reported what Bean was saying yesterday, which is that, we're open to anybody here. We're not going to just go in one certain direction. Grant Udinski is 30.
Yeah.
And he's somebody whose name I did not know until this week.
And
the Bills just played Jacksonville in the playoffs. Right. I still didn't know it.
Right.
But Lou Anarumo is in his 60s.
64 years old, defensive coordinator. 1 year in Indy, right? Only as a coordinator. He was with the Bengals for a long time prior to that. At least through this contending window, he's been there. He was the Bengals D
Could that ever happen? Older defensive coach. Could that ever happen? Maybe it depends on who the offensive coordinator is, if they can provide the Bills somebody. Somebody like that, you could tell him who your offensive coordinator is going to be, probably. You could
or
decide that for yourselves.
How does he get the job? Maybe, he's got a respectable resume as a coordinator. He did a great job on the Bills a couple of times with the Bengals, especially in that playoff game. If he walks in the door and says, you know what? I see Grant Udinski's on your list. I know him. I mentored him, and I can bring him with me as the coordinator. I can make him assistant head coach. It's an elevation from his position in Jacksonville.
You'd have to do that,
and I can bring this guy with me. Then that lines up like that. That's how a Lou Anarumo to me, or maybe any defensive coach. Anthony Weaver qualifies as this too. He's on the list, I think. If he's got in his hip pocket Nate Scheelhaas. Right then,
every time with that.
Right, I'm just trying to get everybody familiar with some of the names that aren't on the list yet. Then that to me might elevate because that while you don't have Super Bowl pedigree there, you've got older and the respect and the purported authority that would come with that, and then you've got the young wizard play caller guy. And maybe you can even have a situation where the older guy, the defensive guy, is more of like a caretaker, and eventually the young guy slides in and takes over after 2, 3, 4 years. I don't know.
I wonder if the Bills, this would be really fun to know if it's true. Are the Bills getting calls from coaches from the past that would love to, hey, I'm ready for one more kick at it. I'm rejuvenated, and I've got this experience. I don't know, Bruce Arians, someone like that, who's in his 70s. Like somebody who's won.
Brian Billick maybe is this.
Brian Billick. Just somebody from the day that might see this as okay, well, I would do that, for 2 years or something like this. The obvious name is Ken Wisenhunt. You're wondering what he's up to. He's an assistant coach at a high school.
I see.
Coached in the Super Bowl for Arizona. But, okay, are the Bills, whoever your contact would be, whether it's...
Is that the
Steelers Cardinals.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Whoever it is that you might know, there's so many coaches, assistants and people that everybody's sort of connected somehow, I think. Like Mike Martz. So somebody like that just I haven't been around for a while, but I still got it.
Yeah.
And is there somebody like that
you say Mike Marsh? Now I'm thinking of Dick Vermeil.
Dick Vermeil. Say it again. Say it loud and proud. Lord, Dick Vermeil. Just somebody who is not completely off the radar as a coach, but Coughlin. Somebody that might want might see this as a chance where there's not so much heavy lifting. I'm not trying to push out the GM. I just want to go in. You've got a lot of credibility already. I bring my own. Somebody like, could that kind of name be a possibility here? It's not anybody on this list. I mean, nobody on this list of 6 names is anything toward winning a championship. I mean, really,
they're not walking in the door with trophies.
And neither is Clint Kubiak
Right.
or Davis Webb or your guy from the Rams,
Nate Scheelhaas.
Scheelhaas. I better write that down. You know, none of this is 9 names plus the 6 that are reportedly going to interview, and there's nobody there that really just works as okay. I know how to navigate this, but I feel like in a prototype, that's what is maybe best for them right now, as opposed to
the young
Nate
hotshot
Scheelhaas.
I think it's Haas, but I'm not positive. I'm not positive. I'm not
the House.
This is a name I've
don't
only
hassle the House.
This is a name I've only read. I have never. I don't consume a lot of the TV, so I've not heard his name said. But it looks like Scheelhaas to me. But,
does it?
Yeah. But what do I know? Yeah, I
Nathan Scheelhaas.
Yeah,
I got it.
There
he is.
We're 20 minutes into this conversation today, and it maybe is the first day that we're not reacting to the firing, how the firing was handled, the news conference. It's more like, okay, page is turning. So I don't know. Now I just want to make sure I say Mark Trestman's name.
Oh, baby!
Because I just feel like every time that we've been through this, like even I think with McDermott in 2017, I feel like Mark Trestman was a name. So I just said I don't. It's not an idea that I think is any kind of good. I wanted to say his name.
What's he up to?
I have no idea.
This is really one of those times where I hope Joe Ostrowski is listening.
Right.
Mark Trestman. I am going to find out.
Did you see what he did with the Alouettes? Come on.
Right. Yeah, there's got to be some Canadian coaches' names we need to
right.
bring up once in a while. Well, he's a senior offensive assistant with the Chargers, by the way. Trestman.
Okay.
Says Wikipedia.
He could be available. They just got a new coordinator.
Yeah, he's probably being phased out.
He might be phased out there. Yeah. Could be on the market.
I was really hot for him for a minute.
Yeah.
Trestman. Oh, the glasses.
Yeah. Right.
The glasses, he must be smart. He must be, I don't know, leader of men, let's hope, but he must be wise with the glasses.
He was like some version of what you get now every cycle. He was at one time, I don't know how young he was when that was starting to take hold, but he was supposed to be like some sort of schematic wizard.
Yeah, right.
It was the reputation. He's like an OG, offensive schematic wizard. I think it has that on his business card. Mark Trestman, OG.
WG. Offensive schematic wizard goat. Joe Ostrowski.